What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down something with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. And deposit $25,000 or more, and you're guaranteed 75. The offer ends in just 2 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So I just want to mention that SPY is doing a good job at holding above its 20 EMA very nicely so far. We did dip a bit upon our data release because the manufacturing numbers were not as great, and also the market kind of just gapped up and dipped a little bit after TSMC's earnings. But overall, it's still holding up very, very well, and there is still potential for a bounce. So, what happened with some manufacturing numbers? Industrial and manufacturing production numbers were a little bit below expectations, which isn't necessarily the best of news. But it's completely fine because this isn't that significant. This is not like a CPI or anything like that. The bill auctions are also quite fine, so there's nothing else that's coming up that's too significant. But I do want to mention that as far as SPY goes, we basically saw this make some interesting moves. What happened was we gapped up very, very nicely with this big push to about 586 new all-time highs. We dipped a bit, and now we're starting to get bought back up. We're actually in the green for SPY, the Nasdaq, and the others. So let's talk about this. Basically, if SPY were to hypothetically lose, okay, the 582.8 area, this thing is at risk of coming down to fill that gap. And then, if 582 fails us itself, that's going to take us down to 580. For resistance, you're basically looking at 585, the previous all-time high. If that breaks, we're looking for the high of the day to be tested, followed by these highs again. I think right now we're stuck between 583 and 585. We're going to likely range trade for some time, but there is a possibility we kind of dip a bit before it tries to rebound, and there still is upside potential looking at the bullish momentum that still remains. So we hit a new territory. That's why SPY dipped a little bit, but we're getting bought back up. So there's still potential in the chart to pump later on. If you look at ES, we're forming a wick right here. We kind of came down only to rebound. So there's potential for us to try to push up higher. Look at support at 58.80. If as long as we're above this 20 EMA, this does favor a bounce. And if we break past 59.10, we're looking for a bigger push up to these highs up here. So there is still potential in ES to push higher. This is not necessarily too bearish. We dipped a little bit, but now there is potential for that bounce. For Nvidia, it did the same thing. It basically dipped a bit all the way down towards this 137.5 area, only to rebound for 140. If that breaks, we're looking for 142. We dipped and then bounced, so watch and see if this pushes a little bit higher. So there's potential for us to try to push up towards those higher levels for 140 again. So we held support very nicely at 137. If we lost 137, we'd be looking for 135, but that did not happen. We held 137 instead, and we are getting bought back up. So 140 is our target, not to mention 142, and we'll see how things go. For Bitcoin is looking a little bit more bullish. We held our 20 EMA. I did mention this in my morning video. It might bounce from here. So we're approaching 68,000, which I think we could be reaching for. Tesla's also technically trying to hold up. It's very, very sideways right now as we're getting very, very mixed news. However, I just want to make it very, very clear that Tesla has 220 as our resistance and then 222. Our support to watch for is very close to about this 219 area, not to mention 217 and 215. So we're stuck in the middle, but there is potential for an attempt to rebound, and it's doing a good job so far. So we'll have to see how things go. But in my personal opinion, I think that Tesla is doing a decent job at holding up. I think the main move is going to be coming during its earnings next week. So it's less than a week from now. Otherwise, Tesla is very, very choppy for now, just range bound around the 220 range. NQ is getting bought back up as long as we hold above 20,400. We're looking for a push back up to 20,500. If we lose this support at 20,350, we could be dipping, but this is favoring an inverse head and shoulders and a bounce back up to 20,500 as long as we don't lose 20,400. The QQQ is holding up nicely as long as we don't lose 492 and then 489. We remain more bullish. It is possible the 492s could be retested, but this might try to rebound and try to push up for these highs all over again. It's fill the imbalance at 497. So I see potential for a bounce on the QQQ to push back up. I'm seeing Aapl showing signs of potential. We dipped down to about 230 only to rebound. We're looking for 233 as our resistance, so it could push higher as well. For the IWM, we basically have dipped a little bit, but we're going to be looking for a rebound. We have 225 as our support. If this dips a little bit more, we're looking for 224. And we have resistance at 227. So look for a small dip right here around this 224 area before it attempts to rebound. But so far, it's doing a good job at holding up. Coin has held 205. Now it's rebounding. So it came down to 200 only to rebound. We're looking at resistance at 212. It could be pushing for that target. Amazon held support right here in the 186.5 187 area. And we could be looking for 188 as our resistance. Meta is also trying to push. We're looking for basically resistance at 581 and then 584. we have potential to push up into the 580s as long as we don't lose 575. It could dip a bit more because it is a tough resistance before it tries to push up higher for the 582 area. So I see potential for a bounce. Microsoft is just consolidating between 418 and 417, might just continue to do that. But look and see if we push. And then Google, as long as we don't lose 165, we do favor that bounce as well, back up to 167. So with that being said, guys, the market is trying to bounce. We're seeing buyers defending, and the high is not in yet, in my opinion. So please keep that in mind as buyers defend, and I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another updates. Thank you for listening, and peace out.